Now, thank you guys so much for jumping to the podcast. I'm not exactly sure if you know exactly about my podcast, but before we start, every episode, we have to do the custom. We love you guys so much for being a guest on our podcast that we have to do the customary over-the-top intro. Y'all ready for that?
Yes.
Jack, I didn't hear you.
Ready? I'm ready. Here we go.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to that brainy Brooklynite, Jack Youngelson, who is an Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker and writer, and by his side, his producer from the Big Smoke, who wants all of the smoke. By way of money-making Manhattan, Sian Edwards-Beal, who is also an Emmy Award-winning producer, director, and writer. Between the two of them, they have debunked Borat. They have explored this emotional life and hacked democracy. Now that we are going to show you Here Is Better, those brain doctor documentarians, those PTSD prospectors, those wounded warrior whisperers, Jack Youngelson, Sian Edwards-Beal, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us. And what an incredible introduction, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Oh, Jack, I thought I was going to break them. Look, in all seriousness, I have researched some interviews getting ready for this. And Jack, my man, your professionalism, you don't break. I thought you was going to break on that one. But here we are.
Here we are.
I watched the documentary, and quite honestly, man, you guys are doing the Lord's work. I have saw so much stuff. I know the reason I wanted to do, amongst all of our interviews, I wanted to do the over-the-top intro to produce some levity to a very, very deep topic that we're about to talk about. And that is PTSD. And when I watched the documentary Here Is Better, I saw a lot of things that was what I would like to say heavy. Can we say that?
Yeah.
And with that, I want to ask my first question. Why was it so important for you guys to highlight something that is common and to some degree hidden in plain sight to a population that just plain doesn't know what's going on?
I think you captured it there. I mean, the fact that it's common but both hidden in plain sight is at the heart of the film. It's something that everyone has some maybe preconceived notions about, but don't really fully know how it impacts people, and might not have a language to talk about it either, because with so many mental health issues, people bottle it up and they don't feel like they want to engage or want to explore. So I think that's at the heart of the film, to kind of bring those things to light and also start a conversation. And even though you said and I understand, there are some challenging moments in the film, I think there's also a lot of hope and a lot of possibility along these journeys. And I don't want to kind of be Pollyannish about treatment and what it means and the commitment that it takes to address PTSD, and everyone's on their own journey. But I feel like I think that there is a hopefulness too in this film, which I hope people feel when they watch it.
Sian?
I think, I think everything Jack has to say is right about this film. It's a long journey, but it is a film about hope. We made this film in order to show people that with the right help, getting better is possible. And I think that is in itself a conversation that wasn't taking place. I think thanks to COVID and the journey that we've taken, through that time period, mental health is a much bigger conversation than it has been in the past. But this film is providing a platform for people to be able to have that conversation.
And that's dope. And you're right. And one of the things that brings me here after watching that documentary, Tabitha says something in the documentary. I don't want to spoil too much, but we have to talk about this. Tabitha compared her condition to one of those of a homeless drug addict. Because when a homeless drug addict is there and you're walking the streets and you see this, we automatically identify the problem. We know what's up. And we have those. She compared her situation as a person who may be behind on their bills, maybe someone who's dealing with something bigger than what they can quite explain to one of something that's obvious. So I say to you, if we're sitting here, and me as a general public, because I learned a lot in this documentary, and I don't exactly know what I can talk about and what I can't, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. There is a level of how do we address the problem that we can't exactly talk about?
I think, you mentioned the scene with Tabitha. I think what she was really expressing, I think it's an incredibly powerful scene in the film, is it's about perception. That you see people with struggles who might seemingly have obvious struggles. That's apparent to you when you meet them, when you come across them. But I think Tabitha was saying that so many people go through life where their struggles are buried, or they're hidden, or maybe that they're not expressed in a way that you identify with right away. Or you try to put someone in their own box and you define them through the own lens of your experience. And she was trying to break through that. And I think it's such a powerful moment, because I think it speaks to everyone's experience in terms of, again, just how do you even start to communicate about questions around mental health? How do you even start a conversation? And it's a thread that runs throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Sam, are you asking how you have a conversation with somebody, how you begin that conversation as well?
I guess what I'm asking is, how do you begin that conversation knowing what you don't know, quite honestly? Yeah.
Well, I think listening, is and sort of looking for cues. I think one of the things we've sort of societally let go of as well is this ability to kind of feel what's, what each other is going through and experiencing. But I think COVID has taught us all a lot about that. And I think the ability to listen and pick up on social cues from other people and understand and want to understand. I think the desire, we live in very divided times, the desire to understand somebody else's point of view, the idea that other people are hurting, the idea that that might not come off the way that you think it might. Somebody might be angry or upset, and that we generally pull away when that happens, right? When somebody's angry, we don't want to engage. But the idea of being able to use language around, you seem to be upset, you seem to be hurting, is there anything that I can do? And then there's a conversation, and that allows you to be able to see what's going on with people a little more.
That's cool. So with that said, I have to ask these questions to you guys. You're the director and producer of this awesome documentary. What were some of the difficulties of this project? I assume one of them have to be having our subjects open up. But what were some of the difficulties that you saw?
I mean, I think any film is about creating trust and creating that trust between yourself as the director and the producing team and the subjects that you're filming, but that the people who are really putting themselves out there are the individuals who are on the screen. And I think creating that sense of trust with them, that bond, that we were on a journey together, and that we're still in touch with everyone who's participated in the majority of people who are in the film, I should say, is special. And I'm so deeply thankful that they went on that journey with us and put their trust in us. And it took time. That's the other thing. This film, we began filming in 2017. So it's a long journey. It's not something that was quickly turned out. And I think that having that ability to spend the time made all the difference.
Mm-hmm. We also had an incredible team of people with us. And I think that, any film is challenging. A subject like this is particularly challenging. We're very lucky. We have, as you said about Jack, he doesn't crack, but he's deeply he's thinking about everything that's going on and incredibly sensitive as a human being. And so he was very much a kind of guiding light through this process of meeting people and talking to people. But we had an unbelievable team of people working with us, ranging from our co-producer who found a lot of these people for us, our executive producer, who was the one who wanted to tell the story initially, Bill Brandt, and then our editor, who spent hours putting together these stories, our director of photography, who, you know, the challenges of being in a room. Daniel Carter, you know, had to hold a camera through this entire process. And so there were physical sort of challenges for that. But seeing the experience and the inspiration came from the people in front of the camera. They were the ones who were telling this story. And it was our job to kind of bear witness to that, really.
Well, I got two more questions. As you know, we're up against it. So I have to ask this question. What has been the response from the audience since this documentary has come out? You're talking to guys like me, you've had screenings. What has been the response?
I feel it's seeing this film with an audience has been so special at film festivals and screenings because it sparks conversation and it opens the door to deep conversations. I mean, people have spoken to us who are not just veterans, but may have experienced a terrible loss, or were first responders or nurses, or recalling how a parent of theirs never talked about their wartime experiences and they wish they did. And so it's kind of a communal gathering and a safe space to talk about things in a way that feels honest and true and kind of breaks down those barriers. So I understand that many people will watch this at home, and I totally embrace that as well. But I think seeing it with others makes a difference, and I think that's been the experience all across the film festival run as well. It's been very, very gratifying.
Sean?
Yeah, I think it's been amazing. I mean, from the beginning of making this film, from people who came to work on it to the music, the people have to the audiences, sort of moving through each stage of it. It is a understanding trauma is it's an inherent human issue. And so everybody who is involved in the film to the people who come and sit in the theater and watch the film have had a very similar response, which is they've wanted to open up and talk about their own experience. And that has been incredible and really what the film is here to do, to encourage conversation and destigmatize mental health issues.
And you're right. And I'm closing with this mainly because, again, we're up against it. But you guys are doing such good work, and you're opening the door to that mental health, and you're getting guys like me who maybe want to look a little bit deeper into what we are looking into about this. I don't know this, on surface level, but I do have friends who are veterans, and I do have just people who've been through some stuff. So they don't necessarily have to be a part of the, military, but trauma, and that's one thing I learned from this film. Trauma is trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
And you got me looking into this, and quite honestly, myself. So I say this before I plaster everything you guys have done all over my social media, because I want more people to see this, and the research this document, the document. It was this. If I don't want one thing, and this is my last question. I know, Emma, give me a second. I want one thing. Jack, man, give me something we don't know about you. Just one factoid, one thing that would, because researching this whole thing, and I'm asking it selfishly for this reason. You're awesome. Sean, you're awesome, but you're a little bit more forthcoming. Jack, give me a fact about you that the world just plain wouldn't know.
My summer reading this summer is War and Peace, and it's killing me. It's
that
a big
is awesome.
Warsaw. So that's a little window into how I'm spending my summer.
That is awesome. And quite honestly, as a person who read that book, is going to take all summer.
All summer long.